It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your hosts, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hello, friends. Lee Sanders with you guys once again, one more time, as we are putting a bookend to the Mr. McMahon Netflix docuseries. We have been coming on every single day, multiple times, depending on what day of the week it is, because we actually had one day where we did 2 shows, and then I think we did another time. I'm not sure, but after a while, the days start to blend into one another. But we're putting a nice, pretty little ribbon on this Vince McMahon docu-series. Let me just do an audio check just to make sure everything's on the up and up. And yeah, we're good to go. Hope you guys been good. I hope your week is going off to a fantastic start. So, hey, at the very top, I definitely want to know you all's thoughts on this docu-series. Now that it's been out for almost a week as of this coming Wednesday, I want to know if you guys had an opportunity to sit down, dive into some of these episodes, and get your first impressions. And for those of you that have watched the entire docu-series, I definitely want to extend a heartfelt invitation for you to offer your comments, offer your reactions. Let me know what you think about this docu-series. And I do have a post that's up on the YouTube channel right now, youtube.com/ the RCWR show. Click on the post section. That's what it is. It's the post section. I was getting ready to say the community section, but it's no longer called that, and I wish they would go back to that. But I have a question that I posted about 24 hours ago. What would you all have liked to see be covered in the Vince docu-series? So that is what you guys can comment on, and take it a step further and everything. So look, and by the way, the wifey did watch one of the episodes. She talked about it on this weekend's Wrestling with the Topics. But what we're going to do with Tams, we're going to have her, because she doesn't want to watch all the episodes, like legit. She's not being forced or anything like that. She legit wants to watch the episodes because she wants to comment on it further from the casual fan perspective. So we're going to give her that opportunity on this coming weekend's Wrestling with the Topics. So be on the lookout for that. And as always, as far as comments go, if you want to be part of the conversation, what you can do, I am seeing all the comments that's coming in right now, but future reference, the way we have our comment system designed, only those that have been longtime YouTube subscribers. And what's what's long term? What's long time? All you got to do is be subscribed to the channel, keep checking out the content and all that. For, it could depend. Sometimes I may have the setting set to a month. It could be 3 weeks. Sometimes it could even be 2 weeks, but I'm going to do it at my own discretion at random. But there is going to be a preset setting. That way we can combat against trolls, because unfortunately, time to time we deal with trolls, and it sucks. I know it sucks. One bad apple pretty much ruins it for everybody, but hey, it is what it is. All right. So, episode 6, Mr. McMahon, the grand finale. This is it. I gotta say, going into this episode, which by the way, I had a lot of fun diving into episode 5, talking about everything that was going on with the WWE selling, becoming a publicly traded company. But also we talked about the XFL, did not talk about the restaurant and the store in New York City, Times Square. I meant to bring it up for episode 5. So I'm actually kind of happy that we got a little bit of a bleed over going into episode 6 and everything. And man, if you ever want to get me talking about, hey, remember this? Because I know I had spent part of the time talking about the ESPN store. I talked about the AOL Time Warner merger and everything. But when WWE had decided, oh, yeah, we really need to expand, we really need to get our reach as deep out there as humanly possible, like, let's go. I mean, what didn't they have their hands on? They were really trying to become the Barry Gordy of wrestling entertainment, were they not, back in the day? Because who could forget about the ill-begotten WWE films division? I mean, that films division, it brought us some it brought us some woo. That's all I gotta say. Oh, hey, just go look it up. Just go look at the filmography when you guys get a chance, right? Just look at their catalog. They put out some really, really bad stuff. Maybe one or two underrated gems here and there, but for the most part, yeah, yeah, some bombs left and right, let me tell you. But WWE films, they had WWE music. And when I think about music, my God, those were the days. The WWE anthology albums that they would constantly put in rotation. My favorite one of them all is the one that has, it looks like there's this pyro explosion that's going off, and you see the silhouette of fans. Looks like they're celebrating because they know that the show is about to begin, basically. And this was made out of a paper material cover, if I'm not mistaken. I know it was not a hard case jewel cover that you had. It was a paper made type of CD cover. And when you opened it up, I believe, damn, how many discs were in that one? Because that one that had the Booker T, the DX, the DX remix with Run DMC. What? Go back. I know you guys say, wait, what? What do you say? Like, that's literally how the song sounds when you listen to it and everything. The Stone Cold Steve Austin Broken Glass remake. Freaking badass. Freaking badass. The metal version of Kurt Angle's I Don't Suck. What did that thing have, guys? I know there's some old school WWE fans that remember what I'm talking about. What was that? 4 CDs? 6 CDs? I mean, that thing, forget about it. The John Cena debut. Everybody that I knew of back in the day had the John Cena CD. Everybody was pushing the hell out of that bad boy. That was a very underrated gem. That was actually a pretty damn good album. I wonder, and maybe we'll poll you guys and ask you all, but I wonder how well that album holds up to this very day. I wonder if it's still current. You know what I mean? because there's some albums that you can listen to that sound as though, man, feels like this just came out. Or you got those timeless albums, yo, this might have came out in the 70s, but damn, it still holds up to this very day. That's pretty damn impressive. Generational as well on top of all of that. So I'm very curious, how does that John Cena album sound in 2024? But the WWE shop and restaurant in New York City, I had an opportunity many years ago when it was open, right? So we're talking a long time ago. If you know your wrestling history and everything, me and my friend, because we used to love going up to New York City all the time, and we would mainly hang out in Times Square. When we heard that WWE was going to be launching a store and a restaurant, we're going, oh, snap. You mean? And we were already just fantasizing. We had these nice, crazy thoughts in our head that, oh, man, we're most likely going to be going to New York at least once a month and buy all the cool WWE merch for ourselves and for our friends. And we're gonna be able to eat some really good food. Oh man, that's what's up. Like, yeah, can't wait when we're so excited and everything. So, and back then, believe it or not, because I know ticket prices for just about every method of transportation is ridiculous now. But back then, if you wanted to go to New York, you wanted to go check out the WWE store and the restaurant, you could take the cheapest route depending on where you were. I'm assuming you're on the East Coast in North America. If you were around the surrounding areas of New York, man, for just about 15, maybe almost $20, you could hop on a Greyhound and you would be there again, depending on where you were coming from. Since me and my friend were coming from out of DC, it would take us roughly 4.5 hours to get to Times Square. And the way we would do it, we would get up at, I would say, my God, 5 in the morning. 5 in the morning. Anytime we wanted to go hang out in New York, we would get up at about 5 in the morning. And then we would hop on the Red Line train to Union Station. And from there, we'd get on that bus. Luckily, we didn't have to do any transfers, right? That can be very annoying when you got to transfer multiple times just to get to your final destination. Nah, we took one bus both ways. We took one bus and we stayed on that bus. And so we would arrive in Times Square right when all the businesses were open for the day. So we would usually get there, I would say, a little bit after 11 sometimes. If traffic was a little, we'd get there at 11:30, but it was always way before noon. And so we would, go shopping, all that cool stuff. Did go to the WWE store. And let me tell you, for anybody that has been to some of those WWE access shows that they like to do on the weekends, and you can just get yourself engulfed in all things WWE, and you're like, oh my God, this just feels like the Mecca. Like I've died and gone to wrestling heaven. No, I can't believe it. That's how it felt back in the day with the WWE store. I mean, you would go into that bad boy. I mean, they had championship belts. They had shirts out the ass. I mean, that was the main selling point, was the shirts. And they would have certain shirts that honestly you weren't going to be able to find anywhere else but the WWE store. It was great. It was well organized. For anybody that ever been to the WB store, or hell, even to a certain degree, a Hot Topic, just combine all of those elements, but it's just all things WWE. And the store was huge, y'all. That store was fucking huge. I wonder if my friend still has pictures, because I remember they took quite a few pictures when we were inside of the store. True story, when we were on our way to WWE's, the original shop, if you want to call it that, physical shop. But when we were on our way there, I'll never forget, and I know for a fact my friend has the picture still. We were walking down the street because we got lost at one point trying to find the joints. And she says to me, "Holy shit." I'm like, "What?" "It's The Rock." And I'm like, "Huh?" "It's The Rock." And I'm looking, I'm going, "Where?" "Right there." I'm like, I don't see. And she grabs my face. She's like, "Right there." I'm like, "It's The Rock." He's like, "It's The Rock." And so we both go running up to The Rock. And the closer we get, I mean, damn, she had good eyes because we must have been about 2, maybe 3 blocks away. Okay. It's cold as fuck. It is cold as fuck. It's got to be at least, oh yeah, because we went in the winter time. I think we went somewhere around, it was somewhere around November to January when we went. And I remember it being so cold, right? It was manageable, like, but it was cold. You definitely needed to have a jacket on and all that. I would say it was probably I'd probably say it was in the 50s, mid 50s tops. So anyway, we're running, you know, and we're just rock, 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 rocky, yo. And as we're getting closer, my friend's like, "Why isn't he moving?" Like, I don't know. What the hell is he looking at? I don't know. So we finally get up there and we're like, "Yo, Rock, what's up?" And he's just, looking down. He's got on these, $500 black dress pants, dress shoes. He's got the $500 shirt on. The shirt, I think, was buttoned up. No, no, the shirt was not buttoned up. The shirt was, his chest was exposed, all that. Like, and I'm like, "Rock, did you drop something? Like, what are you looking at?" And I'm looking down. And so she went to, pat him on the back, like, "Hello." And he, earth to Rock. And then she goes, "Son of a bitch." Because at this point, I'm looking down on the ground. I'm trying to see what the hell Rock is looking at. I'm trying to find whatever it is. And she's like, "Son of a bitch." I go, "What's up?" Like, "This ain't Rock." Like, "What are you talking about?" "It's a goddamn statue." I'm like, oh. True story. You cannot make this shit up. That is a true story. Okay. Anybody that ever lived, worked at Times Square, when the WWE restaurant and shop was active, they know exactly the location of that statue I'm talking about. They know exactly that statue was scary accurate of the actual Rock. Okay. And we had a hearty laugh. We ended up taking, pictures and all that in front of it. And then, we continued on, went to the store and all that. But the store was awesome. The restaurant, I did not get a chance, nor did my friend. We did not get a chance to eat the fine food there because the way that they had WWE restaurant set up, the restaurant would not be open until the evening. So, like, usually sometime around, 3, maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoonish, and then it would go until about maybe 11 o'clock, almost midnight. Those were the hours that it had back then. So it was unfortunate, but the menu, go ahead and go do a online search, use the Wayback Machine if you want to get a good idea on, how their menu was back then. But definitely if you wanted, a really good burger or you're looking for some prime rib, some steak, the WWE restaurant had all of that back in the day. I mention all of this because I feel that it's fun little stories like that that really adds a lot of context when you're watching certain episodes of this McMahon series. And definitely when they were talking about the WWE restaurant, I really wish they didn't just go over it like a brief little, like you're trying to blow a fly or flint off the window or whatever. I really wish they would have spent about 3 minutes, talking about it and all that. Something that they greatly missed that I felt, you know what, this would have been very fresh for them to talk about, which is okay. So what happened with the WWE restaurant and the store? Why did it fail? And get thoughts from Vince McMahon and everything. Now, I know the answer to all of that, and I've talked about it many times here on the show. Not to give you guys the long, drawn out version, but when it's all said and done, you had people that were put in charge of the restaurant and the store that poorly mishandled. They poorly mishandled the operations of those respective businesses. On top of that, there was poor bookkeeping. So all the money that was coming into those establishments, basically you had a situation like Casino. You ever seen the movie Casino with Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro? All this money that's being, counted allegedly and all that. And then, you know, people are looking the other way when a certain cut is taken and all that other stuff. Oh, well, we're going to still try to, balance out the books. No one will ever know. It's basically one of those type of deals, right down to the point. Don't believe me? I'll see if I can pull it up, but I remember the few times that I would talk about the WWE store and restaurant, former employees would reach out to me either via email, or they just happen to listen to that particular episode, and they would either go find me throughout social media or on the same episode if it happened to be on YouTube. They would leave little comments and all that, but that's from former employees themselves that witnessed all the shady bullshit that was going on, and that is ultimately why those respective businesses collapsed. It otherwise I think it would have continued to be a very beautiful thing. I think it definitely would have lasted much longer. Hell, right down to the point it may still be around today. If it had the right people in place and everything. They moved way too fast. WWE did with everything that they were doing. So I definitely, wanted to mention that for you guys, but it was awesome. So when I look at stuff like WWE Access, you guys are getting nothing more than what we basically had experienced so many years ago in New York, but on steroids and on a whole new other level, which is great. I definitely am looking forward to one of these days, hopefully in the next 3 years, go to a WWE Access joint because I've heard nothing but so many great things about it. By the way, can we give a shout out as we're putting the ribbon on this series and talking about episode 6? Can we give a shout out to Bret Hart? Because Bret Hart, so colorful, so animated, at times overly animated, but definitely one of the more interesting drawing points for this docu-series. David Shoemaker, Shoe Fucker, whatever the hell his name is. I could care less about this guy. My opinion, look, a bumbling idiot. Very rare you hear me go very harsh on somebody like that, but he, they he basically has been appointed the role of the all of authoritarian, the official figurehead and all that, and he has his shit so wrong that it's not even funny, and right down to the point when he was talking about the whole what was it, WrestleMania 2, Hogan, Andre the Giant. When he was talking about that, for example, and he mentioned how, oh, Andre the Giant, a couple other people got caught in the same joint as well, but there's a portion where, oh, Andre the Giant, he was off filming a movie, Vince reaches out and hey, I want you to do this joint with the Hulkster and look, go get surgery and then we'll do this match. That's actually not how it happened. That's not how it happened. Andre the Giant did not get the surgery until after he had his match with the Hulkster. It's like little stuff like that. That Shoemaker guy, like every time he opens his mouth, there are so many contradictions. I have a feeling that he got the position that he was in for this docuseries because ultimately he's good friends with Bill Simmons, who's the executive producer and all that for this series and all. So, you know, yeah, that as far as like low point, like, yeah, I'm gonna ignore you, my guy award that goes to Shoemaker. I think a majority of fans would definitely agree, right? Especially if you know a thing or two about yourself, you're definitely nodding your head in approval. Yeah, honorable mention. I mentioned Bret Hart, but I want to give a nod because I don't think she gets enough credit. Sharon Mazer, that would be the professor, older lady, looks like she's maybe in her 60s, a little bit of a heavy set white woman with glasses. I think I don't remember her hair color, but you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. She has like one wrestling book to her name. She came off very articulate. I love the fact that when she was using certain wrestling terminologies, um, certain lingo, she knew what the hell she was talking about. And I like the way in which she broke it down. She didn't break it down in a nerdy, uh, okay, that's just too much, like, she broke it down in such a, oh, cool, just a casual, nonchalant kind of way. She came off like a real freaking pro in that one. So to the point, I definitely am going to check out her book when I get an opportunity. So, and Linda McMahon, I didn't get a chance to really talk about Linda McMahon, but Linda McMahon, was it just me, y'all, or does she look 10 times better now than she did back in the day when we were growing up watching her on our TV sets? I mean, she always kind of had this sad, droopy, puppy dog kind of look about her, you know, bags. That's the one thing I think many of us can really take away from the Linda McMahon from the previous years. These serious bags under her eyes. And now you look at her, she's got this nice glowing skin. I mean, look, if Vince McMahon has been going under the knife, it's definitely starting to show. Linda, on the other hand, she is getting, if she is going under the knife, yo, she's getting stretched out just right. Wait a minute, she's getting stretched out just right. Let cut it out. Let me move along. Episode 6. So, following the loss to Donald Trump, everybody remembers that one pretty good. Donald Trump having in one corner, representing him, Bobby Lashley, Vince McMahon having Umaga. Love that WrestleMania 23 going back to 2007 hair versus hair match. Boy, and I like the way that this was spun into highlighting the fact that Vince McMahon, Donald Trump, how they've been friends for so many years. They didn't really go that much in depth though on the fact that, hey, let's not forget there was a couple of WrestleManias that Trump hosted. They just almost a great omission of that. And you've heard me use that word time and time and time again. You know, one thing for certain that they nailed on the head so perfectly is the fact that you look at Donald Trump and say what you will, but his mannerisms when he's talking, it's almost promo like. He definitely, from that entertainment world aspect, he definitely has it down pack. Definitely. Uh, I can remember watching Donald Trump way back then, like way, way before The Apprentice was even a thing. If you were a product child of the 80s, you saw Donald Trump pretty much just about everywhere, cameos in movies, commercials. I still remember the infamous Donald Trump Pizza Hut commercial. Go look it up if you want a hearty laugh. But you got at that point when the stuffed crust pizza was new. And I remember when Pizza Hut first introduced the stuffed crust pizza. My big black ass, I said, yo, that looked good, right? Pizza Hut was first. They was first stuffed crust pizza. For years, nobody dared try making a stuffed crust pizza of their own. Now we saw Papa John's try it, right? Still waiting on Domino's. Domino's is kind of like, nah, we good. We good. We got something else going on. But go look up that Donald Trump stuffed crust pizza commercial. It's so funny, especially watching him eat his slice of pizza. You know, he's like, I'm gonna eat my pizza. I'm gonna eat my pizza crust first. And then he just goes into that bad boy. You'll love it. You'll love it. Trust me. So some fun memories there, going back towards all that. Of course, they fast forward a little bit, talking about that period of time where Vince McMahon had decided he wanted to do this really cool story angle where he offs himself on TV. And I remember that episode of Raw very vividly. I remember being in I remember at this point, I was staying for a couple of months with my best friends. They had this real big house out in the suburbs, and they had a spare room. They're like, "Hey, come on, come decompress, get your head, get your head clear." Dark period for me. It was going through some heavy shit, some heavy shit. Basically, all tied to my first divorce. First divorce. Well, only divorce, but first marriage, dark place. And every Monday night, to try to get me out of the funk, they'd be like, hey, come watch Raw with us. Like, come on. So we're watching the Vince McMahon dies episode, right? And at this point, you got to keep in mind that for week after week after week, and this is something that they did not highlight. And me and my friends were very, very confident that the reason why, in part, Vince McMahon did what he did in killing himself off was to somehow figure out a way to stop doing this. But does anybody remember Mr. McMahon's millions? Does anybody remember that? Really wish they would have covered this on the episode. So for the casual listeners out there, casual fans, there was this campaign that was done where every single week, Vince McMahon was giving away $1 million. This made headlines, like right down to the point. He actually was interviewed. If I'm not mistaken, I gotta see if I can dig it up. I'm like 70% sure. Hopefully, I'm not suffering from the Mandela effect, but I'm almost 70% sure he was interviewed on the Today Show about this. But Vince McMahon was giving away $1 million every single week on Monday Night Raw. That's how he was doing it. Most times he was giving away $1 million like just that one time during the show. But then there'd be times where he would pick 2 people or even 3 people, but usually it was one person that would get $1 million. And so, the way that they had it set up and everything, Vince McMahon would come out, and basically they would call somebody at random. Now, the way they had it set up, if I remember right, you either went on the website, put in your phone number to enter the contest, and or you sent like a text joint or whatever, text bruh to 9845219874359, whatever. And you basically would enter that way, right? So they would have your phone number. So Vince McMahon would actually dial up the number. And, I remember there was one time where Vince called somebody And the motherfucker didn't pick up. The motherfucker didn't pick up. And I remember Vince was like, are they even there? Is this the right number? Right. And it was just kind of embarrassing because you're going, wow, nobody's picking up. Like their life is about to change. They're about to get a cool $1 million and they're not picking up the phone. It was the most hilarious shit. Right. But every week, Vince McMahon was giving away $1 million. And so even way back then, me and my friends are looking at this and we're going, and we're in our early to mid 20s at this point. We're looking at this and we're going, yeah, how long is this going to last? Because, like, you might have the money to be doing this, but like that $1 million could go a lot, you know. It's better to go in a whole new other direction. You could do a lot more with $1 million than give it away to somebody. Like, there's no way this is going to last forever because it's just going to be an ongoing gag here, right? And so we thought after the fact, oh yeah, this is how he's going to get away from giving away $1 million every single week. Thus, Vince McMahon dying in the limo explosion and all that, right? And we just was like, yo, when that went down, because we were like, what, back then, I'm telling you, the way that this was designed, they literally were pulling a Who Shot JR from Dallas, the hit TV series from back in the day. This was literally one of those joints. Okay, who killed Vince McMahon? It literally was going to be like that. And so all we could do for that whole week was speculate. And then we go into the following week hoping to, okay, it's going to be cooking now. Like, what the hell? Now, as we're leading up to that next week's Raw, I will never, ever forget. Never forget. Monday afternoon was the case for me. I wake up a little late start and everything, turn on the news, and that's when I first find out about Chris Benoit. And I'm going, what the hell? And so I'm trying to process this. Eventually, I think I ended up calling one of my friends and I was like, yo, like something happened with Chris Benoit. Yo, Chris Benoit dead. Like, what? Like, yeah, Chris Benoit's dead. Like, what the fuck happened? Like, I don't know, dude. Well, apparently him and his whole family is dead. And my friends, as well as, I mean, we fucked with Chris Benoit. We loved us some Chris Benoit. One of the absolute, man, we were hollering, ranting, screaming at the top of our lungs when he won the World Heavyweight Championship at Mania and that cool moment there with Eddie Guerrero and everything. We were dumbfounded at what happened. So my friends, they just were like, oh, keep it posted, give me updates, let me know what happened. News remained the same. So we go into that night's Monday Night Raw. Keep in mind, this is a Raw that is supposed to follow up from the Vince McMahon limousine explosion. Then you get that cold opening for Monday Night Raw and Vince McMahon in the middle of the ring. I bawled my eyes out. I gotta admit to you guys, I did not expect for Vince McMahon and crew to put on a show. I did not expect for them to not put on a show, given everything up to that point, especially like just looking how everything was handled with the Owen Hart situation back then. The show must go on. I thought for sure we were gonna get some type of a Benoit tribute show where all the wrestlers would come out and they would put on, really good matches in memory of their deceased comrade. So, and we all were crying, right? I know older wrestling fans, figureheads, they don't like hearing this type of stuff because, like, yeah, it's a, but like, you got to remember who is the main target audience for this docu series, y'all. This is for the casual fans. So the casual fans, most likely, they weren't around back then watching the product. They're probably doing something else. They might have been even too young way back then. So this is why I'm adding all this context. So before that night was out, what started off for me and my circle of friends in front of the television, we're crying. I'm crying like a motherfucker. I've got my friends patting me on the back, giving me a hug, giving me tissue. I mean, we're all just the waterworks, but I really was taking it the fucking hardest. And then before the broadcast is over with, okay, before Raw is over and done with, we start hearing the information about potentially what really happened with Benoit. And what started off as a celebration, what started off as mourning, what started off as, how could this happen? How, why? Like, don't understand. Like, who did this to him and his family? Like, what the fuck? And before the broadcast was over, we start hearing more details and how the mood amongst us changed drastically. My best friend, once she found out the details, she was like, motherfucker, I mean, she beat red. She was getting very pissed off. And she went to bed early. And that wasn't like her because normally she sticks around until the show goes off the air. Fuck that. She bounced. My other friends, and me, we're just going, why? Like, why would you kill your family? Like, what the hell? So, right. And so, shock, dismay. That's all what was going on there, right? And of course, you had all the conspiracy theorists that was running around Vince McMahon, WWE under great scrutiny. You also had it was sickening how when Chris Benoit died, how you had all the mud that was being thrown at Vince McMahon and WWE left and right. Oh, another steroid wrestler, in trouble again, on trouble again. WWE once again put on notice for alleged steroid use. You had former WWE talent Christopher Nowinski, who got the opportunity to examine Chris Benoit's brain and was able to, with the findings and all that, hey, it looks like CTE, was ultimately the cause of this. And, Christopher Nowinski, in his own right, he was a pretty decent wrestler from back in the day, for what it was worth and everything. But, once he had got that CTE, that pretty much was it for him. By the way, Stone Cold Steve Austin with the line about CTE. I'm nodding my head, I'm nodding my head in approval of Stone Cold as he's talking. Hey, look, I've only been dumped on my head one time, and I got concussed real bad, and hey, if you're getting concussed, multiple times like that, you probably ain't doing it right, right? And I'm feeling him. Everything that Stone Cold is saying, I'm nodding my head, going, "You tell him, Steve." And what is starting off and continuing to just that good head nod for Steve Austin. Then he goes, yeah, CT. I've never believed in it personally. I'm just going, no, no, no. Why did you have to say that, Steve Austin? Why did you have to say that? Like, no, 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 no. Like, you just opened yourself up to a big old can of worms. Like, no, 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 no. Oh, that was not good. That was not good whatsoever. But that was a very, and I really wish they would have gone more into talking with Vince McMahon, getting his feelings about that whole ordeal when it occurred, how the company was being under target left and right. Everybody just negative fashion. Everybody was saying all kinds of shit about them. With the leader of the pack being Nancy Grace. I can remember when the whole Benoit tragedy went down, for example, and the whole linkage to the steroid abuse and CTE and drugs and all this other stuff. The what should have been, what happened with this wrestler? Why did this wrestler do what he did? Motherfuckers like Nancy Grace just used that as a major headline for great sensationalism to bring in all kinds of people to. And I remember, the uh superstar Billy Graham's, Chris Jericho's, any and everybody that tried to come on there and talk with Nancy Grace. It was one huge black eye. One of the darkest. I thought the steroid trial was something back in the day, but that was one of the darkest major black eyes to the WWE, was that whole Benoit tragedy. It really would have been nice had they been able to tap into Vince McMahon and interviewing him and reflecting on it, all these years later. Like, there is definite video documentation that's out there that Vince McMahon, he does regret in retrospect putting on that special tribute for Benoit. But he defends it at the same time by saying, look, we were only going off of the information that we had available at that time, and we operated from there. And, true to WWE and Vince McMahon's credit, once they found out what actually happened, and at the same time, the embarrassment that came with how they did the tribute and all that, a little bit prematurely, the very next week, I remember this clear as day. No acknowledgement of Chris Benoit whatsoever. That was the official beginning of whitewashing Benoit from the history books. But right down to the point, because I still remember the follow-up episode of Raw to this very day, because I was curious if they were going to issue some type of a apology to the WWE fan base, in regards to, hey, we did this tribute, we didn't have all the information, we're very sorry about that, we're very sorry if it might have offended some of you guys. They didn't do any of that. None of that had happened on the very next episode. So this kind of shows you where all things were at that point. So, but going back to Christopher Nowinski and his findings and all that, and remember also during this period, you had all these lawsuits that was happening left and right. Once this whole CTE thing was, oh wow, what's going on here? And you had Christopher Nowinski, helping. Ultimately, yeah, WWE, they did go, Vince McMahon and them, they did go, okay, look, not sure why you're saying these things that you're saying, because you're hurting us after we, gave you an opportunity to, be part of our family, to work for us and all of that. We put money in your pocket and all this other stuff. Like, not sure why you're saying these things, but look, we want to aid you in this process. If you find something that like we should definitely know about, we want to help you. We want to help your organization. So like, let's work together. And now some could look at that two ways. You could look at that as, okay, well, way of Vince McMahon to kind of shift his thought process here in this whole thing. The other part could look at this from just a legality standpoint where, okay, now Vince McMahon is trying to get all his affairs in order so that he probably senses that there might be some stuff coming down the pipeline here, and last thing he wants is lawsuits left and right about, oh, I got CTE. Yeah, and sure enough, and I really wish they would have covered this. Great omission. What's the guy's name? Constantine Kairos or whatever. Notorious lawyer, always trying to get a dollar out of WWE. His shit never usually goes anywhere. But I just remember left and right let me tell you something. For as long as I have done this show, which coming up this November, it'll be 13 years. Kairos is always sniffing for a dollar from WWE. He is always trying to convince some wrestler, look, join in on this lawsuit. This person joined and this person signed up. I was able to have come on board this person. So, you're not going to be the only one telling you strength in numbers. Let's go. Let's take down the Mongol that is WWE. And every single time, defeat, defeat, and defeat. I remember all those CTE lawsuits that was coming left and right. I wish they could have talked to Vince McMahon about those. Like, even if he couldn't go into exact details about some of those lawsuits, that definitely is a somewhat of a fresh angle, as far as getting his takes on them and everything. But regardless, Nowinski's findings ultimately led to WWE initiating their wellness policy and banning most physical attacks to the head, such as chair shots. Not to mention, you got to also remember at this point, WWE, publicly traded company, so they now have a responsibility to their sponsors, stockholders, and advertisers. You want to bring in more ad revenue and the domino effect that comes from that ad revenue. Well, you got to tone down the level of violence, which is what ultimately WWE did. Understand something. If it wasn't and this is a culmination, but what was the tipping of the iceberg was definitely the Benoit tragedy. But make no mistake about it, y'all. If the steroid scandal never occurred, if the Benoit tragedy, Eddie Guerrero, because sadly with Eddie Guerrero, everything that came with that. Because even when Eddie passed, like, oh, it's another young person dying. And he's like, oh, well, look at what happened with the substance abuse problems. And yeah, but not for nothing, but he was clean, for a couple of years right before. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He had, long-term abuse his body using these illicit drugs over here. So look, if it wasn't for any of that stuff, that wellness policy, forget about it. I still feel that as far as toning things down to ultimately bring in more ad revenue, sponsors and all that, that still would have been at play. That still would have came into effect. But the whole wellness policy, nah. This was truly a response and a reaction to see we're doing something. We care about our talents. We care about them a great deal. See, we're changing. We're changing the culture. See, we're changing from within. When one can make an argument, nah, man, you should have been on top of all of this. Of course, they fast forward a little bit, talk about how Triple H and Stephanie are coming more and more uh, they're getting more and more involved on the production side of things within the company. Talking about Shane McMahon coming back in 2016, the launch of the WWE network, which, in retrospect, for those of you that were not around when the WWE network had launched, really hard to I can't believe I'm getting ready to say this, but Think about this, guys. February 24th, 2014. That's when the WWE network launched. The fact that you had key individuals that saw the future of media consumption way back then, a couple of years before the launch date of this, they had the foresight to see where media consumption was going and to say, yeah, you know what? We need to have exclusive content that is behind a paywall. And the only way you're going to be able to access this content is through an app. You pay this monthly service fee to be able to access. Now look, I want to give credit where all credit is due. Not for nothing, but Ring of Honor. I see y'all. I see y'all. I ain't talking about this current Ring of Honor under Tony Khan. Well, I'm recognizing the original Ring of Honor and everybody that was involved with the original run of ROH. But not for nothing, Ring of Honor, they had on their website, hey, pay this monthly fee. You can watch all their shows. You can watch all their matches. Hell, for a little bit more money, you can get in on the pay-per-view action as well. And ultimately, TNA followed suit. You know, they pretty much had did the same thing as well. But sadly, they did not have the financial, what's the right word I'm looking for? They did not have the access to the financial resources like WWE had and the great minds at play to be able to, okay, well, that's cool for a web-based type of thing. We're talking about an app. We're talking about being able to stream on multiple devices, on your TV, all of that. And look at where we are now with our media consumption. Look at the way that we consume our media now. You want to watch this new TV show? I mean, as a perfect example, and not to be long-winded, but one of my favorite pastimes is watching anything non-wrestling because I need to decompress. So I know the Law and Order shows are getting ready to come back, but I love Stabler's joint, Organized Crime. Look at how they're doing that now as a way to try to make sure that they keep Peacock subscribers slash gain new subscribers. They've got his show now exclusive to Peacock. It's no longer on NBC anymore, which sucks, right? I was telling the wife the other day, I said, we got to continue to keep Peacock. She goes, why? It's like Organized Crime is being kicked to Peacock. She's like, are you sure? Like, it's not a case where, no, it's being kicked. It's like, we're not going to be able to watch any episodes on NBC. Like, so we got to keep Peacock around. It's like, well, that sucks. Like, yeah, right. So, but like, you see all these apps that's running around now. Whatever show you're thinking of, like, if you want to watch it, it's through this app. That's how you have to check it out. So the fact that WWE years and years and years, just what all the people involved that was able to see where the technology was going, where that media consumption was going, for them to just go, okay, let's do this. And I remember way back then, I'm going on and on and on about this because I remember when it was first announced, the WWE network. A lot of people thought this was going to fail. They thought Vince McMahon and crew lost their freaking marbles. You know, more well-rounded minds like myself and a few others, we looked at this and said, nah, man, this is possibly going to change the game. This is possibly going to have rippling effects in such a way where cable satellite providers are going to be like challenging each other more. And sure enough, you know, it took some time. Well, sure enough, that's exactly where we are right now. There's a reason why your favorite cable satellite provider is going, hey, sign up with us and get a $500 prepaid gift card. Because they're losing customers left and right from cutting the cords and all that, right? But man, that WWE network, that was a beautiful thing, wasn't it? We had a beautiful thing back in the day. Those of us that were able to enjoy the network for that little duration that it was on, we had it made. We had it made. Those were the good old days. Of course, the what billion-dollar deal that they had struck with Peacock, ultimately stringing it back to the deal with Netflix. I mean, this episode 6, they did a lot of hot shot in here. It was a lot of fast forward, fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. Remember going back to episode 1. We're not going to do a review of that. Like, for those of you that didn't see the other episodes, we got the playlist. You can check it out. Check out all the episodes. But remember one of the things that I said and how they opened up this docuseries? They dangled that carrot in front of your face going, hey, in 2024, you got these allegations here. You got this lawsuit. It looks like that's going on here. How did we get to this point? And then we want to do this so-called rewinding to, give you all these little, and you're watching episode 6. And just the way that this episode is just pretty much hot shotting, taking it to real time, right? Right down to the point. They sat down, they did a new interview with Bruce Pritchard. And you hear one of the producers ask Bruce Pritchard, did you have an opportunity to watch some of the episodes? And Bruce goes, yeah, I did. As a matter of fact, I did have an opportunity to watch some of the episodes. Yeah, what did you think? Honestly, I think what you guys did was a hit piece. I think you guys were doing nothing more than a gotcha piece on Vince McMahon. You all were trying to figure out, how can we, trip him up? How can we, talk about and mission was accomplished. You guys do not know, nor did you cover the man behind the Vince McMahon character. You guys did not tap into the person, the Vince McMahon that I know. And let me tell you something. And I love how he went into great detail about how when his wife was really sick, I can't remember if it was, I want to say it was cancer, but Pritchard, talked about how when his wife was really, really sick, was looking really grim there. Vince McMahon, I mean, a really good friend, really good heart, jumped out there, made sure that Bruce's wife was taken care of, that she got the best care possible. And what started off as, yeah, it was cancer, because what started off as she was only given a certain amount of years to live, now fast forward, what was the number he said? I think he said like almost, I know for sure over 20 years, but it kind of seems like he might have said 24, 25 years later, she's still around. She's still alive and kicking. And that was all because of Vince McMahon. That resonated with me. That resonated with me. It stuck with me as I finished out watching this episode, which was conveniently titled The Finish and Everything, because you have Bruce Pritchard saying all of these things about Vince McMahon. And boy, I tell you what, the way the production team went from that going immediately into the allegations of sexual misconduct. McMahon, okay, 1 minute, Jesus, that all was just ridiculous. You right? You got the sexual misconduct and trafficking, January of 2023. That culminated in Stephanie McMahon resigning as co-CEO. McMahon then selling WWE to Endeavor, merging the promotion with the UFC to TKO Group Holdings. Then 2024, further allegations of sexual misconduct. McMahon once again resigning, sold over $4 million of TKO stock, ended up canceling his final set of interviews for this respected docu-series. And then, it's pretty much okay, let's try to pick up the pieces. Like, where do we go from here? Nice of them to follow up with Dave Meltzer and get his thoughts about everything that's going on and everything. I appreciate him being as level-headed, objective. Was one of those for this entire docu-series. This is one of those rare times now where you have Dave Meltzer. Okay, I'm going to be, as neutral, right between the eyes. But as far as fact checks go, I'm going to tell it how it is here. I'm going to make sure my shit's covered. This Dave Meltzer that surfaced for this series is the Dave Meltzer that I have fell in love with initially so many years ago, whose work I love to read. I might have never picked up an issue of the Observer, but anytime he had some type of news that was out there, I always stopped what I was doing and I would pay attention to that news. I would go out of my way to read whatever he had to say and everything, and yeah, even check out some of the podcasts. Yes, I would go through a lot of I'd go through a lot of it. I respected him a great deal. It's just sad that the way things are now with Meltzer and crew, the Kool-Aid that they're drinking these days. But appreciate him being as, level-headed, objective as humanly possible. Look, putting the allegations, the lawsuit, putting all that to the side. Okay, obviously you couldn't get access to Vince McMahon, get his side of the story, all this other stuff, right? Okay, all right, great. Understand. But when you did have access to him, there was a golden opportunity to really go in areas. And I really feel largely in part, Vince McMahon may have wanted to participate in something like this because I honestly believe in my heart of hearts, he said to himself, okay, look, for where I'm at in my life right now, I really don't think I have that many more years left. I know my mom might have lived to be, but considering everything that I've done to my body, he's probably having these conversations with himself. Remember the three sides, right? The three brains. One brain, I don't know, it's like a computer, right? Doesn't he say something like that? One brain's like a computer. The other brain, I don't know, what's for dinner? He's pulling a Stouffer's commercial. What's for dinner? And then the other brain, I wanna fuck you like an animal. My whole existence is fun. You get me closer to God. That's if that didn't jump out at you the way episode 6 opened up there, that was some scary foreshadowing, freaky shit that they did with Vince McMahon just looking hard at the camera. I wouldn't know what that part's thinking. And then for him to go into that whole sex, lots of sex, you just like, considering what we know now, you just, did we really have to? Woo! No. Um, rushed. They dangled majority of viewers with that carrot. Vince McMahon stepping down. That was the carrot. Stick around. Okay, you stuck around. And how were you rewarded at the very end? Did you come away learning really anything new? If you're a hardcore wrestling fan, hardcore WWE fan, you are a wrestling fan that's on top of your wrestling news and all that, and you've been at it for years, you're walking away from this going, maybe two things caught my attention. But no, overwhelming, no. Didn't come away learning anything. Just another hit piece, another greatest hits is what was dialed up here. Nothing more, nothing less. And you'd be 100% accurate in that assessment. So many omissions. So many. And look, let's be honest. Bill Simmons and them maybe now they'll talk more candidly about, hey, look, we hear the feedback from fans, and yeah, we weren't able to ask these questions. They put a lot of restrictions on us because da, 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 right down to the point. And I wouldn't be surprised to hear that type of stuff. I wouldn't be surprised to hear that type of stuff. One of the episodes, I can't remember if it was 5 or 6. Y'all remember when they asked Vince? Can't remember the question, but they asked him something, and yet you heard Paul Heyman. So apparently Paul Heyman was sitting in there on the interviews or whatever with Vince, and I guess he was there to kind of jog his memory a little bit, or help him out, or maybe step in. Hey, let's not go there, or what have you. I guess he was kind of like a mediator, or whatnot. By the way Paul Heyman set up the Mr. McMahon character, Vince McMahon character, linking it back to childhood, and you know, you got to go out of your way to that was beautiful. The way he set that up, because he nailed Vince McMahon perfectly back to that little boy and everything. But so many omissions, so many glaring, wait a minute, there's a window of opportunity right here, and yet you guys aren't taking it. You paint this nice, pretty picture of Vince McMahon and how he first came across Linda McMahon, and, you know, cue up Def Leppard, Love Bites, right? Like, Match Made in Heaven and all this other, and you'd swear that by the time this docuseries ends, that, oh, isn't that nice? No matter what all bullshit had went down through the good times and the bad times, lots of bad. Oh, Linda McMahon continues to be by her husband's side. Now that's a real great marriage right there. Newsflash: they have been living, cue up Phil Collins' song, separate lives for many years now. Vince living wherever, and Linda's living down, whole completely different states, and everything. Did not go into, so what's going on here? Vince has admitted that he has slept around with multiple women, da 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 da. So, why do you continue to stay with him? A lot of people would argue you'd be within your right to get a divorce, take half, you know. I don't know why I'm like in a music mode right now, but I'm telling you guys all this, and I'm thinking about Marvin Gaye's "Hear My Dear" album. It's a fantastic album. When he was going through a really nasty divorce, I think it was his second marriage, second divorce. Anna Gordy, the daughter of Motown's Berry Gordy, and like she was getting half of everything, even proceeds for like a future album. And so, like, to fulfill commitments, one of the albums he put out was "Hear My Dear." There's one other album before that, but it all wrapped up with "Hear My Dear." There's a song I like from that album: "You Can Leave, but it's going to cost you." That should be Linda McMahon's theme, and she'd be well within her right. I don't think any of us would be like, now look, I'm not saying Linda McMahon is a what's the right word I'm looking for? I'm not saying that she is a innocent, total innocent bystander here, right? She could be doing some stuff that we don't know about, but guess what? Her game is obviously 10 times better than what's been going on with Vinnie Mac. But still, you get the point. She'd be well within her right. Okay, yet she continues to be married to this man. Why is that? What's going on there, right? You know, they didn't touch it. Did not touch it whatsoever. I would have loved to have heard her thoughts on a lot more on seeing Vince McMahon going through the steroid trial, going through all those, get that new perspective. She is a figurehead that we, don't really hear a lot from, right? What's it like? What's it like being with Vince McMahon? What's it like waking up next to him? What's it like when you guys are taking a walk in the park, or okay, you told us something about a vacation. Okay, cool. But like, what does Vince do when there's no wrestling and you got him to yourself? Like, what's that all about? It would have been nice to hear stuff like that. Would have been nice to know more about their relationship, their marriage. You know, would have been nice to learn so much more in that. To learn what we were able to learn in regards to Shane McMahon. I mean, you just came away from out of that having even more respect, even having more appreciation for Shane McMahon. He comes off like somebody you legit go, I could see myself in real life having a friend like that. Like, that's the type of friend I want to have. Somebody that, and God bless Shane. When all the toxicity and just all that pushback from Vince went down, God bless Shane. Shane just said, you know what? I've got my kid, soon to be kids. I got my wife, beautiful wife. His wife is very beautiful. I'm going to go enjoy life. Fuck it. Power to him for doing that. Seriously, because that would drive the average person insane. And just, it would put you in a position where you would question your self-worth. Cause like, man, I'm not capable of doing XYZ. Like, you don't think of me in this regard. Like, damn, nobody wants to feel that way, especially when it comes to work, right? Nobody wants to feel that way. So to feel that way, and then you're starting to question yourself, your ability, your worth, ultimately, your purpose in life. So many negative thoughts that you just ultimately go, it can drive a person crazy. So for him to just take himself out at the right time, and get away from all that, mad respect, mad freaking respect. But so many omissions from this docu series as a whole, misinformed information as well. A lot of misinformed uh, information. I mean, you're looking at this and you just can't help but, if you're on top of your stuff, you know what's what. You're looking at a lot of this stuff and you're going, no, that's not how it happened. No, 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 no. No, that's out of place. Wait, what are you guys talking? No, that actually never happened. Wait a minute, why are you mentioning this, but you're not mentioning this over here at the same time? Like, what the hell? Lot of stuff. Like, for example, I mean, we'd be here all night just going over, but for example, look at the stuff with Lex Luger. When Vince McMahon talks about, oh man, back in the day, used to have a handshake deal. Like, that's how we were able to do it. You know, used to have a handshake deal, used to have an agreement. And it's like, that would have been a perfect opportunity, though, for the producers to go in and say, well, not for nothing, Vince, but think about the Vern Gagnes. Think about, they had those same kind of deals with their talents. And you came in and did XYZ with them. Lex Luger is a good example because where they got it wrong in their fact checking, research, whatever you want to call it, they got it wrong because Lex Luger ultimately came through WWF by way of Vince McMahon's bodybuilding competition. I used to be big into the bodybuilding back in the day. So I remember when Vince McMahon was trying to do bodybuilding, I was pretty excited about it. I remember me and my friends, we was always into the health, nutrition, always working out, lifting weights. We loved it. We loved it. We would go to a nearby rec joint, lift weights like every day after school. And if the rec joint was open on the weekends, we'd go there. And, we lift weights, all that stuff there. But Lex Luger
ultimately came to the WWFE by way of the bodybuilding competition and all that. And then once there was that transition into Lex Luger being a wrestler in WWFE, I'm saying WWFE, um, covering all my bases there. He did have a contract. Wasn't a verbal thing. He actually did have a physical contract. And what ultimately happened, because I remember this very well because I was a big Lex Luger fan from back in the day. And you heard me mention on one of the previous episodes, I liked him better when he was a heel. They kind of messed up with him and all that, going the babyface route, all that stuff. Because like the fans could see clear as day what Vince and crew was trying to do, and they wasn't having it. I remember back then, like I wasn't even having it. They tried, it was a nice attempt. It's like, but he was not the guy. He was not the one. Yeah, Bret Hart really did pull the sword out of the stone. He was the anointed one. But Luger's contract expired. It expired, and Vince McMahon was overconfident. I think him and his crew, they were overconfident. They honestly thought that they were gonna, they wasn't tripping. They wasn't sweating as a result. And Eric Bischoff was able to just pretty much swoop on in there, yoink, and that was a done deal. Another great omission of all the new things that you could pretty much ask Eric Bischoff. And I didn't realize this until I got off the air, and then it clicked in my head. Mike Tyson. I was a big Mike Tyson fan. Still am. I hope he whoops one of them Paul's asses. Logan or Jay. Get somebody. I prefer it to be Logan Paul. But anyway, Mike Tyson. WCW, Eric Bischoff, they had an opportunity to work with Mike Tyson. If they would have, whatever its asking price was, if they would have matched it, they would have had access to him and all that other good stuff. So, a great omission right there. Like, yeah, you got Eric Bischoff going, oh, they got Mike Tyson, huh? And it's kind of like, wait a minute. No, 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 no. Because if we as wrestling fans, wrestling historians, if we're remembering our history right, Easy E had an opportunity here and he passed up on it. Would have been nice to hear Eric, hey, retrospect, would you have tried a little harder there with Mike Tyson? Like, what say you? Like, that's another thing that was missing from that whole thing, man. Um, I think about when Hulk Hogan has said to Vince Sr., yo, let me go do this Rocky 3 movie. And Vince Sr. basically goes, nah, you're either doing, my promotion or, you're done. Yeah, you can do your movie then, but like, no, it's either one or the other. It's like you're not gonna do both. I put a lot of money into you, like I expect a return on investment. It's gotta be one or the other. Hogan decides, okay, well, I'm done. I'm gonna go do this movie. And man, I respect the Hogan for doing that. I bring that up because link it back to Sergeant Slaughter. Sergeant Slaughter at the height, at the pinnacle of his career, gets this opportunity to partner up with G.I. Joe. It's like a match made in fucking heaven. And Sergeant Slaughter's like, yeah, man, sign me up. Let's do it. We start seeing Sergeant Slaughter's character incorporated in G.I. Joe, all that stuff. And then there was like this toy line opportunity where G.I. Joe wanted to incorporate the Sergeant Slaughter character and all that. And Sergeant Slaughter goes to Vince McMahon. And it's like, hey, man, what I just said, you see how I laid it down? Vince Sr., Hulk Hogan. Now it's Vince McMahon and Sergeant Slaughter. hey, I got this opportunity to da, da, da. And Vince McMahon pretty much shuts that bad boy down. Where if you were a smart businessman, and look, I don't, probably the poor choice of words, right? But if you were what's the right word I'm looking for, guys? A savvier business person would go, tell you what, you want to do that? You want to do that little GI Joe thing or whatever? Okay, well, whatever total gross you're able to bring in by the end of the year, we want about 20% of that, or we want about 30% of that. Now that's good business, right? It's like, okay, you get what you want, they get what they want, we get what we want, and everybody's happy. How about that? But Vince McMahon, man, the way he always came off to me growing up, very, very possessive. Don't want to share his toys with nobody else. I mean, look back to when Hogan wanted to go do more movies. Oh, no, no, you don't need to do that. Look, we'll do a movie together. We'll make a movie. We'll do in-house. And fast forward to the WWE films. Oh, you want to go do movies? No, we're not gonna let you go do that TV show. No, 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 no. Marvel what? Marvel Comics? What? Yeah, no, 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 no. We got this WWE movie over here that you can go do. Oh, you're talented, huh? You know how to play the guitar, you know how to sing or whatever. Oh, that's nice. Oh, give me a music label. Uh, God, I'm trying to think of a record label. LaFace Records wants to do something with you. Yeah, that's nice. Nah, come do something with our music division. We'll put out your album. Everything you can respect it to a certain degree because it's, hey, if you keep it in-house, you're able to generate and keep all that revenue, right? It's all in-house, right? So the house wins at the end of the day, like no matter what, the house wins. But at the same time, you're putting like this stranglehold, over your talent that, that is definitely a interesting way that, besides mutiny, that you can create a scenario where a person kind of ultimately feels insane. I don't know. You feel me? It's so interesting because you look at what Triple H, Paul Levesque, and crew have been doing these past couple of years. You also got to put Nick Khan in there as well, and the opportunities that now present itself for these men and women that are part of the WWE roster. I mean, just think, for example, Damian Priest getting that opportunity there where he now, if I'm not mistaken, I think he auditioned as Namor. He was trying to audition as Namor, but something had happened, and unfortunately, that just was not in the cards for him. And you're like, he actually would have been pretty good as Namor, a damn good Namor. Let me tell you something. A better Namor than, no disrespect, but a better Namor than the guy that they ended up going with. I was not impressed with. For me, that Namor looked like a punk bitch. That Namor looked like a punk bitch. That dude did not scream. It's funny because when I was growing up, you know who I always envisioned as Namor, and I'm so disappointed that he didn't get an audition. But Randy Orton. I've told my friends and family for years, ever since I first saw Randy Orton, I said, "Yo, that's Namor." Like, get out of here! Like, no, 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 that's Namor. Like, seriously, look at him. Like, just picture the haircut. Like he's got the physique. Like, come on, that's Namor. And they kind of like they think about it. Like, yeah, yeah, that's Namor. Yeah, yeah. And then to hear how Randy Orton tried to audition for Cable. He did audition for Cable, but he didn't get the part. And it's like, he would have been a damn good Cable, I think. I think he would have pulled that off pretty well. But it's great seeing them now, get these opportunities that they're able to get, because under the old regime, it forget about it. Forget about it. So I'm trying to think anything else. So look, in closing, let's look at this docuseries as a whole as far as an overall rating. I'm gonna rate this docuseries two ways. I'm gonna rate it for casual viewers, and then I'm gonna rate it for my wrestling people out there, my true wrestling people out there. So if you're a casual, I'm going to say watch it, but at the same time, I'm going to highly encourage you to go out of your way and pick up some really interesting source materials. I definitely would recommend you guys pick up Ringmaster. Does a really, honestly, a better job talking about Vince McMahon than this docu-series did. You want to learn more about WCW, the Monday Night Wars, how WCW came to its demise and all that, pick up the Nitro book that I had mentioned on a previous episode. Okay. Uh see what else. I'm just trying to think. Oh, there's a Vince McMahon DVD that came out a long time ago. Long time ago. I'll recommend that. Check that out as well. Uh I'm trying to think. If I'm missing something, you guys in the comment section, just throw something out there and I'll be sure to include that. But I want you guys to start with that. Also, I would recommend you check out the following episodes of Dark Side of the Ring. I made sure we talked about it before on a previous show, but now that we're putting a pretty little ribbon on this, I definitely want to highlight it again for you guys. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Bear with me a second here. Let's see if I can find that bad boy. I think I'm getting close to finding it. By the way, the Stephanie McMahon joint on Mike Tyson. That for me. Remember, that was in 2013. Want to make sure we stress that. That was in 2013 though, but was it risky for WWE to so fully invest in Mike Tyson? He hadn't been arrested for rape yet though when we did that. And she just has this look like, yeah, you can miss me with all that cuz nah, man, that was a good move on our part. We did good. Yeah. And then I just love how she looks over her left shoulder, right? He, and they're like, he had. Like, yeah, he had. And Stephanie just whips her head back. And she just sits there in silence. I fucking love that scene, man. Fucking love that scene. Oh my God. Oh, by the way, while I'm looking this up, friendly reminder, tonight's Monday Night Raw. I will be with you guys after the show goes off the air, but this will be the final WWE Raw that is 3 hours long, because next Monday it's going to be 2 hours. And from here on out till the end of the year, it's going to go from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. No word right now on what's going to happen with Raw once they make the move to Netflix, as far as whether or not it's going to continue to be 2 hours. But there is a report floating around that when it does hit Netflix for short term, it will be continuing on as 2 hours. SmackDown is rumored to ultimately go 3 hours, and then they're gonna flip it back, I guess, as they get closer to summer of next year. Those are the reports that's floating around. I found the episodes, by the way. So on top of all of that material that I'm recommending for you guys, you can also check out episodes of Dark Side of the Ring the following. Check out the Steroid Trial, season 3 of Dark Side of the Ring, episode 10. You can also check out Owen Hart, season 2, episode 10. Chris Benoit, season 2, episode 1 and 2. I actually thought they did a decent job. Evan Houston and crew, the producers. I thought they did a good job with that one. Season 2, episode 1 and 2 on Benoit. Jimmy Snuka, season 2, episode 5. Montreal Screwjob, season 1, episode 2. And that pretty much will give you, a nice overall, good little companion piece, if you will, to this docu series. But casual fans, yeah, I'll say it's a watch, but you got to keep in mind the omissions, some of the order in which they're trying to present things as fact is inaccurate. Like some shit needs to be flipped, or they're missing a very integral part of telling that whole story. So you got to keep all that stuff in mind while you have all that other source material that I mentioned as well. Scale of 1 to 10 for casual fans, I'm gonna give this a 5.5 out of 10. So it's average at best. For my wrestling fans out there, my wrestling fans that ain't checked this out yet, my hardcore fans, hardcore long-term WWE fans, long-term WWE fans, long-term wrestling fans, I can't recommend this docu-series. I can't. I won't. Can't recommend it. Scale of 1 to 10. So it's a pass. Like, skip it. Okay? Skip it. Scale of 1 to 10. 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10, man. Seriously, 2 out of 10. That's how I'm looking at it. All right, so that is in the books. By the way, appreciate everybody that went out of their way to cast their vote on YouTube. I have a poll up asking you guys to help me figure out what we're going to do once the docu-series is over, our reviews for it. And majority has spoken, coming in at 75%. You all want a omnibus. So that's what you're going to get. You're going to get one big old volume. I'll be taking my time throughout the week, and maybe before the weekend is out, we'll put it up. And it looks like the way that you guys voted, because we gave you guys multiple options. I said to you guys, here were your options. Hell yeah, give me the omnibus. Nothing new added though, because I gave you guys an option of, hey, we can include some exclusive stuff as far as Vince McMahon related news, kind of even putting more of a pretty little ribbon on the omnibus. And then there was also just individual shows on the YouTube channel. And the way you guys voted, 6% of you said no, I'm good, just checking it out as individual shows on YouTube. Okay, cool. 19% of you said hell yeah, give me the omnibus with exclusive new stuff, please. But 75% you guys are saying give me the omnibus, nothing new added though. So majority voted, that's what you're going to get. So you'll get that in the coming days, and that will be made available for you guys to check out in audio format on demand and on the downloads. Because this was a specific question for my audio listeners. So the audio listeners, they're the ones that want some type of a omnibus version. But for those of you that maybe want a omnibus version on YouTube, I'll hook you guys up as well. That way we, take care of everybody and all that. Yeah. So that is going to do it. Once again, I have a current little questionnaire up on YouTube asking you guys, what would you have liked to see be covered in the Vince docu-series? Offer your comments down below when you get a chance. You can even post it right here on this episode or any of the other Vince McMahon reviews. And what I'll do, I'll follow up this weekend when we will have Tams sit down on the next edition of Wrestling with the Topics. And, we'll take like about 25, maybe 30 minutes of the show and we'll have her give her overall thoughts on the docu-series. And then hopefully by then, we'll see some of what you guys have to say, and we'll dedicate a portion of the show showing you guys reactions and all that other good stuff. Yeah. All right. So that's going to do it. Another show in the books. We got one more coming at you guys later tonight. I'll be live low after 11 p.m. Eastern after Raw goes off the air. The final Raw, the final 3-hour Raw, and it's the go home show as they're going to be going into Bad Blood this weekend. Yeah, they got their pay-per-view event coming up this weekend, Bad Blood. So should be a well-rounded, kick-ass edition of Raw tonight. So definitely join me all throughout social media. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button. Make sure you go over to the YouTube channel, find the same episode, give it a like, give the playlist a like, share, check out all the previous Mr. McMahon review episodes. Was a lot of fun doing this. I hope that we're able to do more of this coming down the pipeline for you guys. Who knows? Maybe depending on the feedback, maybe we can start putting into rotation new seasons of Dark Side of the Ring, something to kind of think about. I'll tell you what, we'll put up a poll, see what you guys got to say. Yeah, we'll do it that way. Until next go round, my pretty babies, wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I'll see you guys for the Raw post show. Take care, y'all. Peace.